Nicely done.
Yeah.
Well, now to a memorial with a difference. And we sent Jules Schiller out to meet a very unique family with a very unique plan to celebrate the lives of their mum and grandma.
Michaela and Stephanie Dwyer lost their grandmother Margaret in 1994.
She was quite an unconventional woman. She was quite cheeky and
Independent, yeah, which carried on through the lines.
In 2010, their mum Dorothy passed away too. For years they've had their ashes at home, but the sisters now have a plan to give them the send-off they deserve.
our mother always wanted to donate her body to science, but she's much better placed as a firework rather than some scientific experiment.
That's right, they're literally sending Dorothy and Margaret one step closer to heaven.
Got our mother and our grandmother embedded in fireworks, and they're going to go off with a bang on a full moon, and it's a sort of symbolic gesture of celebration and honouring their unconventional spirits.
And that's where Craig Hull comes in. He's been sending pets' ashes skyward for 5 years. But in what he believes is an Australian first, Dorothy and Margaret will be the first humans to be made into fireworks.
We take the ashes and we put them into the shell, and then the shell's put together, and then it's put into a display where built up with some Roman candles and maybe some shells, small shells go up, a bit of colour, and then build up to a finale, and then boom, we send up the person's ashes out over the ocean.
For Michaela and Stephanie, it was the perfect way to celebrate two very feisty women.
They weren't religious and they loved fireworks. Well, our mother did, definitely, was a big fireworks fan. And
So now she is one.
so she's becoming a firework.
Well, the sun has just gone down and I'm standing here in Hunters Hill overlooking beautiful Sydney Harbour, waiting for this really unique service for Margaret and Dorothy to kick off. And to be honest, I don't know quite how to feel about it. On the one hand, I feel sombre and reflective because, well, we're honouring two people's lives, but also I'm just really excited about seeing some fireworks. And so the ceremony gets underway. There are speeches, storytelling, music and memories before the display begins. And finally is Dorothy and Margaret's big moment. It's surprisingly moving, and Michaela and Stephanie are rapt.
It's a kind of a strange thing to do with your Relly's ashes, but it was incredible.
Would you recommend it to people?
Oh, absolutely. Everybody needs a rite of passage somehow. Like the markers of death and birth and marriage are really important. And I think for our mother and grandmother, this is a very special way to send them off.
And Jules joins us now from Sydney. Jules, it is a pretty kooky idea. I mean, each to their own. How did you find the whole ceremony?
Well, Carrie, at first I thought it was a little bit stunty, you know, like getting married underwater or skydiving or something like that. But when you're actually there and watching it, there's something incredibly comforting about sending someone upwards rather than downwards. I mean, we've all been to burials and it is quite distressing to see someone buried, and often you need a few drinks at a wake just to kind of liven yourself up. Cremation is a bit odd because the urn sort of hangs around the house until someone comes home drunk, mistakes it for parmesan and has grandma with garlic bread, you know, like that. So even though this was a first, it actually felt an incredibly natural thing to be watching. It was an odd experience, I have to tell you.
Well, Jules, you've been there. Would you actually consider doing this for yourself?
Well, I was thinking about that, Chris, and, you know, my main worry is that they'd launch the fireworks and it would be it'd be a real fizzer, and people would turn to each other and say, kind of like his life, really.
Oh,
you know, so I think, I think if you were going to do it, you'd need to spend the money. You'd need to have the music, you'd need to have the full display. You know, you wouldn't want to get Uncle Frank's ashes and dip a sparkler into it and sort of light it up and stand around and say, valet. Unless he's a cheapskate, of course, he'd probably appreciate that. Like I said, it's a really uplifting, celebratory thing to do. I'm not sure whether it's going to catch on overly because you need council permits and funeral permits, but it was a really great experience.
You're no fizzer, let me tell you that, Jules. You're always good when you come on the show.
Thank you, Karen.
And Ashes to Ashes is a great idea. If you want more info on it, head to our website. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Great, it's a celebration. I love that it's a celebration. I know it's not what everyone would want.
My family's so disorganised, they'd probably let the fireworks off during the day.
Really, you've got to be careful with fireworks. Imagine if, like at your own, you know, about to orbit into the skies and someone lost their limb trying to light you.
Oh, well, don't
you know,
do that.
be careful.
No, this happy story. I like that we have a new meaning for going out with a bang, because I thought it was just when you died while doing the deed.
Wow. Did you?